The frozen night on the ice planet was not quiet. The wind screamed like a living monster, racing over the endless white desert. Snow blew in violent circles, hitting anything that dared to stand in its way. Evan, a human explorer, pushed open the small flap of his hand-built igloo and looked out. He had to make sure the walls were still strong. The storm was the worst he had seen in months. The temperature outside was deadly. Even one mistake could freeze a man's lungs in seconds. Evan zipped his coat tight, checked the rope lines, and then returned inside the igloo. The warm glow of a small heat lamp filled the space with a soft orange light. It wasn't much, but it kept him alive. He sat down, rubbing his hands together. He had been alone for many days, collecting ice samples for the research base. He was supposed to return tomorrow. If the storm didn't kill him, the cold would dot suddenly. A faint sound at first, Evan thought it was the storm. But this sound was different, soft, weak, almost like a cry. He turned his head toward the entrance. The sound came again, a scratching, a dragging. Something was crawling across the ice. Evan reached for his tool knife. No one traveled in this storm unless they wanted to die, and no animal would come this close to a human shelter. His heart began to race. The scratching grew louder. He moved slowly toward the entrance. His breath felt heavy. He didn't want to open the flap, but he had no choice. If it was an ice beast, he needed to defend himself. If it was something worse, he needed to know. He pulled the flap open just a little. Wind exploded inside. Snow blasted across the floor. But through the storm, Evan saw something on the ground, something that made him freeze in shock. A girl, not a human girl. An alien. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly under the snow. Her hair was silver white and stuck to her face. Her body trembled badly, and her fingers dug weakly into the ice as she tried to crawl forward. Her clothes were torn, barely covering her. Frost covered her arms like crystal chains, her head lifted slightly. Her voice was thin as air. Human. Please. Warmth. Help me. Her eyes, large, bright, ice blue, looked directly into Evan's. They weren't the eyes of a hunter or enemy. They were eyes begging for life. Evan's breath caught. He knew this species. Frostborn aliens. They were dangerous, fast, strong, and their clans often fought with human expeditions. Every rule said never let their kind inside human shelters. But this girl wasn't dangerous now. She was dying. She reached out a shaking hand toward him. The storm pushed her back, almost lifting her from the ground. Warmth, please. I beg. Evan hesitated. His mind screamed no, but his heart said something else. If he left her outside, she wouldn't survive more than a minute. He made a decision. He dropped his knife and stepped out just enough to reach her. The cold burned his skin instantly. He grabbed her under her arms and pulled her inside the igloo. She was light, too light, like she had been starving or walking for days. As soon as they were inside, he shut the flap. The storm's roar quieted a little. The alien girl collapsed on the floor. Her whole body shook violently. Frost flakes crumbled from her hair and skin. Evan knelt beside her, unsure what to do. Hey, stay awake, he said. You're freezing. She looked up slowly. Her breath came out in white clouds. Warmth. Human warmth. It can save me, please. Evan blinked. He knew something about her species. They had extremely low body heat. They needed direct warmth to survive extreme cold. But physical contact between humans and frostborn aliens was forbidden. Her clan believed it made them impure, and humans believed it was dangerous. Evan looked at her again. Her eyes were losing brightness. If he didn't help her, she would die right here in his shelter. He reached for the heat blanket and wrapped it around her. Even then, she kept shaking. It's not enough, she whispered. My heart, slowing. Her voice cracked. She moved closer to the heat lamp, but it wasn't strong enough for her kind. Evan swallowed hard. "Do you need direct warmth?" "Like body warmth?" She nodded weakly. Evan looked at his coat. He took a deep breath and unzipped it. He lifted her gently, placing her against his chest. The cold from her skin shot through him like ice needles. He almost pulled away out of reflex, but he held on. Her breathing changed slower, but steadier. Her head rested near his shoulder, and her freezing fingers gripped his arm. "You saved me," she whispered. Evan didn't speak. Kay only held her tighter, trying to ignore the cold burning his skin. But then a new sound. Footsteps, heavy ones. Outside, Evan's eyes widened. Someone or something was walking around the igloo. Not the wind, not an animal. Something was searching. Something was hunting. The alien girl's eyes shot open in fear. "No, no, they found me." Her voice trembled as much as her body. Evan stared at the entrance, heart pounding. "Who found you?" She swallowed, terrified. "My clan," she whispered. "They are not here to save me. Human, they are here to kill me." And the footsteps came closer, stopping right at the entrance. The footsteps outside were slow and heavy, moving in a circle around the igloo. Evan held his breath. The alien girl in his arms, Soralish, shivered in fear, gripping his coat tightly. Her glowing blue eyes were wide, and her breath came in short, panicked gasps. "They tracked my heat," she whispered. "My clan can sense small temperature changes in the snow. They know I am here." Evan's heartbeat thudded in his ears. He had heard stories of frost-born hunters. Tall, silent, ruthless. If they found one of their own inside a human shelter, they considered both the human and the alien a disgrace. And they never left disgrace alive. The steps stopped right outside the flap. Evan placed a finger over his lips, telling Arle to stay quiet. She nodded, but her body still shook. Not just from cold fear. A deep, rumbling voice echoed from outside. "Errol, come out." Her entire body stiffened. She knew that voice. "That's Torvak," she whispered. "He is the tracker chief. If he sees me with you, he won't stop." Evan felt his jaw tighten. He didn't know who Torvak was. But the threat in his voice was enough to chill him more than the storm outside. The flap lifted, just a little snow blowing in again. A massive shadow moved on the other side. Kay's hand slowly reached for the stun device he kept hidden beside the heat lamp. He didn't want to fight, but he needed to be ready. Torvak spoke again, his voice rough like grinding ice. "Aral, your heat trail ends here. You can't hide from the clan. Come out now, or we break this human nest." Arella's breath hitched. "Evan, please, don't move. Don't make a sound." But Evan knew silence wouldn't save them. Torvak already knew someone was inside. The shadow moved away from the entrance and continued circling. The igloo walls shook lightly from the pressure of his footsteps. Snow dust fell from the ceiling. Evan whispered softly, "Why were they chasing you? Why would your own people kill you?" Aral looked down, her voice small. "Because I refused to fight in the Winter War. I told them I will not harm humans. The clan called me weak. A shame. They ordered my execution." She swallowed hard, so I ran. Evan felt something twist in his chest. She wasn't an enemy. She was running from violence. Running from her own people who wanted to force her to kill. The footsteps grew louder again right next to the entrance. Torvak stopped and spoke in a cold, cruel tone. "You can hide behind human heat, but you cannot run forever. Come out before I tear down this shell of snow." Arle held onto Evan's arm. He could feel her trembling worsen. If he breaks the igloo, she whispered, he will kill you first. Humans are always the first target. Evan's grip on the stun device tightened. Not if I fight back. Her eyes widened. No, you can't. He is stronger, faster. His skin is thick ice. Your weapon may not stop him. Outside, another voice joined. This one was lighter, but still harsh. There are fresh human footprints, it said. A man lives here. The traitor must be inside with him. Evan cursed under his breath. So it wasn't just Torvak. There were two hunters. The igloo suddenly shook hard as something slammed into the wall. Boom! Snow fell from the ceiling. Arala gasped. They are testing the walls. They will break in. Evan pulled her closer to the heat source. Stay behind me. Do not move, whatever happens. She looked at him with fear and confusion. Why? Why would a human protect me? My clan says humans only save themselves. Evan didn't answer with words. He simply shifted his body to shield her from the entrance. He didn't know why he was risking everything for her. Maybe it was the way she crawled through the storm. Maybe the way she begged for warmth. Or maybe it was simply because he couldn't let someone die. In front of him, boom. Another strike on the wall. The ice cracked. Snow spilled inside. Torvak's voice thundered. Last chance. Aral, come out. Or the human dies because of you. Aral's breath broke. She whispered, I don't want you hurt. I shouldn't have come here. Evan shook his head. You came here to live, and I'm not letting anyone take that from you. The wall cracked again, this time deeper, louder. The hunters were preparing to break in. Arla squeezed her eyes shut in fear. Evan braced himself, holding the stun device tight. The next moment, a huge ice fist smashed through the wall. Breaking it open, cold wind rushed inside. Torvak's glowing eyes appeared through the opening. And the real fight was about to begin. The wall of the igloo was shattered now, leaving a wide opening where the icy wind roared inside. Snowflakes spun wildly around the small space, and Evan stood in front of Arale, holding the stun device tightly. Torvak's tall figure stepped into the broken entrance, his heavy boots crunching against the snow-covered floor. His eyes glowed a sharp, icy blue filled with anger, authority, and something darker. Behind him, another frostborn hunter appeared. This one smaller, but carrying long ice blades on his arms. The entire igloo felt too small for the danger now entering it. Torvak's gaze locked onto Arale first, then shifted to Evan. His lip curled in disgust. You allow a human to warm your body, he growled. You bring shame to the Frost clan. Arale moved back, clutching the blanket tighter around her shoulders. Torvak, please, I cannot return. I refuse to fight in the Winter War. I will not kill for the clan. The smaller hunter hissed. Your refusal is betrayal. You broke sacred law. You fled your duty. You deserve the ice punishment. Aral's voice shook. I escaped because I want peace. You want war with humans. I refuse to be part of it. Torvak stepped closer, the floor vibrating under his weight. Peace is weakness. You were a Frostborn warrior. You were created to fight, not hide in a human shelter like prey. Evan took a step forward, placing himself fully between Aral and the hunters. She almost froze to death. I saved her. If you want her back, you'll have to go through me. Oh, the small hunter laughed coldly. He thinks humans can protect a traitor. Torvak raised one hand, signaling silence. He studied Evan with sharp eyes, as if trying to understand why a human would risk his life for an alien girl. You protected her warmth, Torvak said slowly. For what? What do you gain? Evan kept his voice steady. I don't gain anything. She needed help, that's all. Torvak's expression hardened. Help? She abandoned her people in the middle of a war. She ran away from her oath. She showed mercy when she was ordered to kill. Evan glanced back at Arle. Why were you ordered to kill? Ral lowered her head. Her silver hair fell over her face. Because I refused to hurt innocent humans, she whispered. The clan wanted me to attack your research base. I said no. They called me weak. They called me broken. They decided I was not fit to live among them anymore. Her voice cracked with the memory. So I ran into the storm. I walked for hours, but the cold was too strong. I thought I would die. She looked up at Evan, her eyes full of gratitude and fear. Until you found me, Torvak growled. You were not meant to be found. You were meant to freeze. The words hit Evan like a punch. They were ready to let her die because she spared humans. Evan tightened his grip on the stun device. I'm not letting you take her. The small hunter stepped forward angrily. Human, you cannot fight us. Your bones will break under our fists. Aral suddenly raised her hand weakly. Please, Torvak, let me go. I will not return to the clan. I will not fight. I will not live under fear. Torvak's face twisted in cold rage. You are Frostborn. You do not choose your path. The clan chooses for you. Evan stepped closer to Torvak, heat rising in his chest. She doesn't belong to you. The air inside the igloo grew tense, dangerously tense. The smaller hunter raised his blades. Torvak, enough words. Let us finish this. But Torvak lifted his arm, stopping him. His icy eyes remained locked on Evan. You are bold for a human. Foolish, but bold. He tilted his head. Tell me, human, why risk your life? You met her only minutes ago. Why defend her? Evan didn't have a perfect answer. He only knew the truth, because she needed someone. And I wasn't going to watch her die. Arella's eyes widened. No one had ever defended her like that, not even members of her own clan. Torvak's expression darkened. A mix of anger, confusion, and something else, respect. No, it couldn't be, but he stared at Evan like he was an impossible creature. But the moment of stillness ended quickly. The wind roared louder behind them as more shadows passed outside. At least 2 more hunters were circling the igloo. Arella's voice trembled. Torvak brought the whole strike team. They will not stop. Evan looked toward the broken wall. Footsteps moved outside, multiple footsteps. The hunters weren't here for negotiation. They were here for execution. Arel whispered desperately, Evan, they will kill you first. They always eliminate the human protector. Evan raised the stun device and stood firm. Then, I guess we don't let them. The smaller hunter screeched in frustration and lunged forward. And in that instant, the battle for survival truly began. Asterisk, the moment the smaller hunter lunged. The temperature inside the broken igloo dropped even further. His ice blades flashed in the dim orange light of the heat lamp, edges sharp enough to slice through bone. Evan reacted fast, not because he was strong, but because fear pushed him forward. He fired the stun device. A crackle of blue electricity burst from the weapon and struck the smaller hunter in the chest. The impact threw the alien back against the wall of snow, but only for a second. The hunter shook violently, then rose again with a growl, ice crystals falling from his arms. Human toys, he hissed. Weak. Evan's heart pounded. The weapon only slowed him. Arle crawled backward to the far side of the igloo, gripping the blanket around her shoulders. Her energy was still weak. She could barely stand, but her eyes stayed fixed on the entrance, because the real danger was not the small hunter, it was Torvak. The massive Frostborn stepped fully inside now, towering over both Evan and the smaller hunter. His cold aura reached every corner of the igloo, frosting the walls and even dimming the heat lamp. He stared at Evan with a calm, terrifying certainty. You chose death, human, he said. A foolish choice. Evan swallowed, but he didn't step back. Torvak raised one heavy fist, made of hard blue ice. If that fist hit Evan, it would crush his skull like glass. Suddenly thump, 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 thump. More footsteps around the igloo. Evan glanced at the broken wall. Dark shadows moved outside to more hunters had arrived. Their silhouettes were huge, their breaths creating long trails of mist in the cold air. Arla whispered, "For hunters." Torvak brought the full ice team. Her voice trembled. She knew what that meant. The ice team was only sent for the most dangerous traders and for hunts that must not fail. The smaller hunter moved again, his blade slicing toward Evan's legs. Evan jumped back, slipping slightly on the icy floor. The blade scraped the ground where his foot had been a second earlier. Torvak spoke without looking at the smaller hunter. "No killing the human yet. The clan must judge him." The smaller hunter hissed in annoyance, but obeyed. Evan wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, breathing fast. He couldn't keep dodging forever in this tiny igloo. He remembered Arala's words from earlier. "If you warm me fully, my power will return." But right now, she was too weak to stand, too cold to fight. And Torvak wouldn't let them get close to each other. The smaller hunter lunged again, and Evan grabbed the nearest thing he could use, metal pot for melting snow. He swung it hard. The pot hit the alien's arm with a loud clang. It didn't hurt the hunter, but it threw him off balance long enough for Evan to escape another blade strike. "You fight like an animal," Torvak said calmly. "Strong for a human, but not enough." Then Torvak lifted his arm. Man struck the igloo's roof. The entire structure shook violently. Snow fell everywhere. The lamp flickered. The wall behind Aral cracked further, letting in a blast of freezing wind. Aral gasped as the cold hit her skin. She was already weak. More cold could kill her. "Stop," she cried. "Torvak, please, don't break the shelter." Torvak ignored her. He raised his arm again. Evan shouted, "Hey, over here." Torvak turned too slowly. Evan sprinted toward him, firing the stun device again. The electricity hit Torvak in the shoulder. This time, the effect was different. Torvak didn't fall. He didn't flinch. He didn't even blink. He simply looked down at the stun mark on his arm. Almost curious. Human weapons, useless. Then, Torvak grabbed Evan by the front of his coat and lifted him off the ground like a child. Evan's feet dangled helplessly. Aral screamed, "Torvak, stop! Leave him!" Torvak squeezed his arm harder, cutting off Evan's breath. "You protect the traitor," Torvak growled. "Why? Why risk your life? Why fight for her?" Evan forced himself to speak through the pressure. "Because she didn't deserve to die." Torvak's grip tightened. "She broke our law." Evan's face turned red. His grip on the stun device weakened. Arali pushed herself to her knees, fighting dizziness. "Torvak, please, I beg you, don't hurt him." Torvak didn't look at her. His eyes stayed locked on Evan. "You should have left her in the snow," he said. "Now you both die." Arela's throat tightened. She shook from cold and fear. But then, outside the footsteps stopped. All at once, the wind quieted as if something heavy blocked it. Every hunter, even Torvak, turned their heads toward the entrance. Something new was approaching. Something big. Arela's eyes widened with terror. "Torvak, that is not one of our hunters." The air shifted. The snow outside fell silent. Evan, still held in Torvak's grip, felt the tension change. Whatever was approaching was worse than all of them. The storm outside fell unnaturally quiet, as if the wind itself was afraid. Torvak, still gripping Evan by the coat, slowly lowered him to the ground. Not because he wanted to, but because even a frostborn hunter respected the presence. Now standing outside, A loud crunch echoed through the snow. Another heavy step. And then another. The smaller hunter backed away from the entrance, his icy blades trembling slightly. Torvak, this scent. It's not ours. Torvak's jaw tightened. He turned fully toward the broken wall, muscles tensing beneath his thick, frozen armor. Stay sharp. Something follows heat trails, just as we do. Aral pressed herself against the wall, her breathing sharp and quick. It's a frost beast, she whispered. They roam during storms. Hungry, blind. But they smell warmth from far away. Evan's eyes widened. You mean? It followed us. Arale nodded. Yes, the heat from your igloo drew it here. Before Evan could ask another question, a massive shape appeared through the swirling snow, a towering white creature with long claws. A hunched back and glowing eyes like burning coals buried in ice. Its breath steamed loudly in the cold. Each exhale shaking the ground, the frost-beast. Even Torvak stepped back. The creature let out a deep, echoing roar that made the air vibrate. The hunters were strong. But frost beasts were nature's monsters, bigger, older, and ruled only by hunger. The beast charged. The smaller hunter screamed and swung his blades. But the beast knocked him aside like a snowflake, sending him crashing into a pile of ice blocks. Torvak grabbed Evan and shoved him behind a broken wall. Stay down, human, Torvak growled. You cannot fight this. Evan coughed, trying to catch his breath. No kidding. The beast lunged again, this time toward Aral. Her eyes widened. She tried to move, but her body was still weak, her strength not fully returned. The beast opened its jaws wide, sharp, icicle-like teeth ready to crush her. Evan didn't think. He didn't plan. He just moved. He sprinted toward Aral with everything he had, grabbing her arm and pulling her to the ground right as the beast's jaws snapped shut where her head had been. Arale fell into his chest, trembling. You saved me again. He didn't have time to answer. Torvak roared and slammed his ice fist into the beast's skull. The entire igloo shook from the impact. The beast stumbled but did not fall. It turned its burning eyes toward Torvak and roared back, louder, angrier. The battle between monster and hunter began. Torvak swung again, shattering a small chunk of ice from the beast's head. The beast clawed back, slicing through Torvak's armor and drawing a line of glowing blue frostblood. Torvak snarled in pain, but didn't back down. Evan held Aral close, trying to pull her farther from the danger. Can you walk? She shook her head weakly. My strength. It hasn't returned. I need more warmth, or I will faint. Evan's heartbeat raced. How much warmth? Her voice trembled. Full contact. More than last time. Only then I can gain my power back. Evan looked at the raging fight. Torvak was strong, but the frost beast was stronger. Its claws tore through walls, through ice, through anything in its path. Torvak wouldn't last long on his own. And if Torvak fell, they all would. Evan dragged Arale behind a half-collapsed wall for shelter. Snow blew in from every direction. The beast roared again, slamming Torvak against the ground. The ice hunter struggled to get up. Arale watched with fear and guilt. He may hate me, but he is still my clan. And he will die if I don't help. Evan stared at her pale blue skin, her shaking arms, her eyes that struggled to stay open. Warmth she needed. Human warmth. Evan slowly removed his gloves and coat. Arala's eyes widened. Evan, no. You'll freeze. He shook his head. I'll live. But we won't survive if you stay weak. He wrapped his arms around her tightly, pulling her close. Her icy skin felt like touching solid frost. Pain shot through his body instantly. He held tighter, Aral gasped as warmth flooded into her. Her skin began to glow brighter, her heartbeat returning to a steady rhythm. Her breath grew stronger, less shaky. "Evan, thank you." She whispered. The beast slammed Torvak into another wall. Torvak grunted. Struggling to rise, Arala's eyes glowed brighter light. Like rising stars, her strength was returning. Evan felt her body warming slowly. Power building beneath her skin. "You're getting stronger," he whispered. Aral looked at him with soft, bright eyes. "Because of you." The frost beast prepared for another killing blow. Arle rose to her feet, still weak, but no longer helpless. She stepped forward, glowing brighter with every breath. Evan watched as she spread her hands. Frost energy gathering like shimmering white flames. The beast roared. Arle faced it with new courage. "I am not prey," she whispered, and the battle for survival shifted again. Arale stepped out from behind the broken wall, her glowing skin casting soft white light across the shattered igloo. Evan watched her carefully, her breathing steady now, her arms no longer trembling. The warmth he had given her had awakened something deep in her frost-born blood. The frost beast roared and charged again, its claws digging through the snow-covered floor. Torvak, wounded and struggling to stand, pushed himself aside just in time. The beast barreled forward, aiming straight for Aral. But she didn't run. She lifted her hands slowly, frost energy swirling around her fingers like tiny white sparks. The temperature in the igloo dropped sharply. Frost crawled across the walls. Snowflakes froze mid-air. The beast leaped at her. Arle thrust both hands forward. A blast of shimmering frost shot out, exploding across the beast's chest. The creature was pushed back, its claws scraping long trenches in the ice as it struggled to stay upright. It roared in fury, shaking its icy mane. Evan's eyes widened. He had never seen anything like it. This wasn't normal alien strength. This was something more, something ancient and powerful. Torvak pushed himself to his knees, staring at Arle with shock. "Your power. You recovered it so fast." How Arala didn't answer. She took another step forward, her body shining brighter with every heartbeat. The warmth she had gathered from Evan had unlocked energy her clan believed impossible. But the frost beast wasn't defeated yet. It roared again and lunged, massive jaws snapping. Arala jumped to the side, frost trailing behind her feet. She spun mid-air, releasing another burst of cold energy. The attack struck the beast's shoulder, freezing a layer of ice across its fur. The creature staggered, roaring in pain. Evan stood behind the broken wall, watching in awed fear. She was powerful now, but the beast was still deadly. One mistake could end her. Arale landed softly, breathing heavily. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. Evan stepped out slightly. "Aral, behind you." The beast had recovered and charged again. Aral quickly raised a frost shield, but the impact of the beast's massive body shattered it, sending her flying back into a pile of snow. "No." Evan shouted and ran toward her, but Torvak moved first. Despite his wounds, heaped between Aral and the beast, slamming his full weight into the monster. The collision shook the igloo ruins. Torvak grabbed the beast's throat, pushing it back with all his strength. The beast roared, ice breath washing over him. Torvak shouted through clenched teeth, "Aral, finish it." Arala groaned, trying to stand. Evan reached her first, helping her up. "Can you still fight?" She nodded, though her voice was weak. "Yes, because you warmed me." "I can." Torvak struggled to hold the beast, his feet sliding across the ice. The beast's claws tore into his arm, sending blue frost blood spraying across the snow. Torvak roared in pain. "Now, Aral." Aral lifted her hands again, light swirling around her palms. The air crackled with frozen energy. Evan stepped back, shielding his face from the cold wind forming around her. Arle whispered Frostheart, "Awaken." A bright beam of frost energy burst forward, pure white, like frozen starlight. It struck the beast directly in the chest. The creature froze instantly, ice racing across its body. Its roar turned into a deep rumble, then a quiet crackling sound. Within seconds, the frost beast transformed into a giant statue of ice. Cracks appeared. The statue shook. Then it shattered into 1,000 glowing ice shards that threw out scattered across the snow. Like falling stars, silence returned. The storm outside softened. The danger was finally over. Torvak stumbled back, dropping to one knee. He breathed heavily, staring at Arle with a mixture of disbelief and respect. "You awakened the Frostheart. No one of our kind has done that in generations." Arle placed a hand over her heart. "I didn't do it alone. Humans gave me strength. Warmth I never felt before." She turned toward Evan. He looked at Hurley, looked at her. Her glowing eyes, her soft breath in the cold air. The quiet strength in her stance. Torvak followed her gaze, studying Evan. "This human. He is the reason you lived." Aral nodded. "Yes, without him, I would have died." Torvak lowered his head slightly, not quite a bow, but close enough to show recognition. "Then our clan owes him a debt, even if he stands against us." Evan blinked, surprised. Torvak had been ready to kill him minutes ago. Now he showed respect. But the moment didn't last long. Outside, more footsteps approached the other clan hunters, returning after fleeing from the beast's roar. Arala's breath caught. "Torvak, they will not accept me." "Not now." Torvak stood, wiping frost blood from his arm. "Then we face them. Together." Evan stepped forward. "Together," he repeated, and the three of them human. Warrior and alien girl stood ready for whatever came next as new shadows appeared in the snow outside. The storm outside grew louder again, but this time not from nature. Shadows of multiple frostborn hunters moved through the curtain of snow. Their glowing eyes pierced the cold air as they marched toward the ruined igloo remains. Ara, Evan, and Torvak stood side by side, three figures who should have been enemies, yet now faced danger together. The new hunters approached slowly, forming a circle around them. Their tall forms, covered in thick ice armor, glistened under the storm's weak light. They were the elite of the Frost Clan to eliminate threats without hesitation. One of them stepped forward, eyes fixed on Torvak. "Chief Torvak," he boomed. "We heard the Frost Beast. Is the traitor dead?" Torvak's jaw tightened. He didn't look at Arle. He didn't look at Evan. He stood tall and strong despite his wounds. "No," he answered. The hunters shifted uneasily. Another warrior stepped closer. "Then we finish her now." Torvak suddenly raised his hand. "No one touches her." A wave of shock traveled through the circle. Even Arala's eyes widened. Evan felt Torvak's words like a sudden warm flame in the freezing air. The second hunter snarled. She refused to fight. She broke sacred law. She warmed herself with a human. She must face punishment. Torvak stepped forward, frost dripping from his wounded arm. She awakened the Frostheart. She defeated the beast that none of you could face. She has earned honor greater than any of us. The hunters murmured in disbelief. The Frostheart was a legend, a forgotten gift. No Frostborn had awakened it for centuries. Arel lowered her gaze. "I didn't do it for honor. I did it to live. I did it to protect him." She glanced at Evan, her eyes softening. The hunters finally noticed the human standing among them. Their posture shifted instantly: anger, hatred, disbelief. "A human?" One growled. What is he doing here? Evan stepped forward, refusing to hide. I saved her life, and she saved mine. That's all you need to know. Hunter pointed his icy spear at him. Human warmth is forbidden. She touched you. She is corrupted. Aurel clenched her fists. Human warmth is not corruption. It gave me strength. It healed me. Another warrior hissed. Then you are no longer one of us. Torvak slammed his fist into the ground, cracking the ice beneath his feet. Enough. I command you to stand down. Silence hit the circle like a shockwave. Torvak stepped forward, towering over every other hunter. We saw her awaken power greater than any Frostborn alive. If she chooses to walk a different path, then let her. Our law must change, or our clan will die frozen in old traditions. The hunters stared, speechless. Aurel looked at Torvak with deep gratitude. She knew he was risking everything, even his leadership, to protect her. The lead hunter finally spoke, voice trembling with anger. If she leaves the clan, she is no longer Frostborn. Kira lifted her chin. Then so be it. One choose my own path. Evan stared at her. He knew how much courage it took to break away from one's own people. His heart felt heavy and proud. The hunter stepped back, accepting her decision with cold stares. They did not attack. They did not argue. They simply turned away, following the old law: a Frostborn who leaves the clan is dead to them. Torvak walked up to Aurel slowly. You saved my life, he said, though I would never admit it in front of the others. A small, rare smile touched his lips. May your new path be warm, even if it is human. Arle smiled softly. Goodbye, Torvak. He nodded once, then turned to leave. The hunters followed him into the storm until their silhouettes disappeared into the white. Void silence returned. The igloo was gone. The snow calm and the three were now two. Arle turned to Evan, her breath soft in the cold air. I have no clan now, no home, no place to go. Evan stepped closer, offering his coat. Then stay with me. I'll help you find a home. She looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly. Evan, you already gave me warmth. You gave me courage. You gave me life. She touched his chest gently. My warmth belongs to you now. Evan felt a strange mixture of shock and comfort. He placed his hand over hers. Then we'll face whatever comes next, together. Just then, a deep humming sound rose from the sky. Evan looked up. A human aircraft, one of the research base's patrol ships, was approaching. Its lights glowing through the storm. Aurela's eyes filled with fear. Humans, they will see me. What if they take me away from you? Evan stepped in front of her protectively. Then they'll have to get past me first. The ship descended lower, sweeping the area with bright beams. The wheels touched the snow. The door opened, and a team of armed humans stepped out. Arle held Evan's arm tightly. Evan whispered, whatever happens, stay close. Because the next chapter of their lives was about to begin.